Hi, this is Bob Bickle and joined by Johanna Good at RunSignup. And today we're going to do a presentation that kind of gets to the heart of the matter for a lot of people these days. Obviously, the endurance industry has taken quite a hit, and people are searching for ways to make money and to save money. So we may as well talk about these things pretty directly. So first off, some stats. We've been putting out weekly reports on our blog, and so every Sunday or Monday you can check the blog and see what's happened in the past week. This only represents what's happening on RunSignup, so it's not indicative of everybody or anything, but it is useful for if you're a RunSignup customer to kind of benchmark yourself and how your organization is dealing with this. The blue line shows what happened last year, and the red line is showing what happens this year. We were having a great year up until March 7th. Total transaction volume was up 29% year over year. That is mostly because of increased market share. So more races were moving over to RunSignup, or new races were being created on RunSignup. Our average race, I think up to that point in time, had increased the number of participants by somewhere in the range of 2 to 3%. So most races were pretty flat. And then the bottom fell out. You can see the numbers down 80% of what it was the previous year. So basically, because of the growth, the decrease was actually more than that. What's remarkable is how much recovery that there has been. We're up to 60% of last year's volume. You'll see this little spike here. And that's because we're crossing the month. So what always happens is a lot of people have price incentives to sign up right before the end of the month. And then typically a lot of new races open at the beginning of a month. So the same thing kind of happened this year for us. Plus there was one virtual race that just went really crazy. The great virtual race across Tennessee just had a huge number of people signing up for that, put on by the founders of the Barkley Marathon. And if you're looking for something to do, watch the Netflix Barkley Marathon. So there's bad news in that major races are canceling. I think even in the fall it's going to be very difficult for races above 1,000 or more to actually be put on. To me, the good news is that I think we're gonna make a comeback. I actually happen to co-own a running store back in 2007 to 2010 or 11, and in 2008 during the financial crisis then. Our running store actually improved the business. People were drawn to running and healthy activities and lower cost activities. And I think the same is going to be true here. Obviously, people are craving to get back out, and our sport just naturally being outdoors, naturally being kind of distant from each other, except kind of at the start and finish lines. Kind of lend themselves to being opened sooner rather than other industries. So I think there's positives there. The other thing that I'm really encouraged by is the amount of creativity that we're seeing, because the endurance community is made up of all these pretty tiny micro communities. You have a lot of people that are in this that are in it because there's a set of passion behind them, either for running or triathlon or cycling, or for the nonprofit that is kind of utilizing endurance in some sort of way to raise money. And I think that passion is kind of starting to shine through. Dark periods indeed, but some people are really kind of embracing this and trying to find solutions. So that's what we're trying to do today, is to throw out some ideas here for you. We're not going to go into detail on anything, just going to be throwing out more ideas for you. So here's one on make money, this section. So we'll talk about going virtual. We'll talk about maximizing your revenue, and we'll talk about raising money for your nonprofit. And then the next major section will be saving money. Make money, save money. So going virtual, those revenue numbers or the transaction numbers that I showed you up front, really the bulk of that is coming from virtual races. So last week, 16 of the top 20 races on our platform were new virtual races that had never existed before. 2 are spring races that had converted to virtual, and then 2 are fall or 2021 races. So just the amount of transaction volume that's happening is really all coming from virtual, which is kind of a complete surprise to me. And gosh, we're really, really thankful for it, because it's saving our company and saving a lot of organizations out there. So converting to virtual, so we actually had a couple of pretty large races that converted to virtual, like during when things were totally confusing. So the middle of March hits, and they're hit by this the fact that on April 3rd or April 15th they're supposed to have a huge race with over 10,000 people coming. And Crescent City Classic converted virtual, and Pat's Run converted to virtual. And Crescent City, what's interesting is that even after they converted to virtual, people were still signing up. And you can see in Pat's Run case, they actually had 2,000 people sign up in April for the race, which is kind of amazing. That they had that bump, and you can see that they had a nice increase over the previous year. The dive in March, of course, but then a little bit of a comeback before their race. As if you followed RunSignup, you'll know that I started RunSignup because I was a co-race director at the Scott Coffee race here in lovely Moorestown, New Jersey, and we are going virtual this year. It usually happens the first weekend in June. And there's no real way that we could put on a physical race in that time frame. So we're going virtual, and right now I checked about an hour ago, we have 189 participants this year versus 339 signed up last year. And it's typically about 1,000-person race. So we're feeling pretty positive that, we're not where we were, but we're feeling pretty positive that we're going to be able to pull in some money for the Rotary. What's also interesting is that donations are running ahead this year of last year. Starting a new virtual race. So as I said a couple slides ago, 16 of those top 20 were actually brand new races. And if we look at kind of what's happened over the past month or two, 6 of the top 10 races that had over $100,000 of transactions were organized by customers that had previous physical races, who decided to create a virtual race. So that great virtual race across Tennessee that's been written up a lot in Runner's World and so forth. They've got a lot of people. They've got, I guess, like 17,000 plus people sign up for that now. And that was actually created by an organization that does Barclays, which of course is paper oriented, but those were those same people put on some smaller trail races and things like that, and had used our platform before. So we would encourage you, if you have races, to basically convert those races to virtual, because you're much more certain of being able to have a virtual race. Because even if you have a summer or fall race and you think you might be able to put it on, you don't necessarily know what's going to happen. It's safer to put on a virtual race and expand it to be a physical race, or put on both a virtual race and a physical race for your Scott Coffee run equivalent, and allow people. One of the ideas that we're seeing people adopt is that people can sign up for the virtual for, say, $25, and for the physical at $30. And if the physical race is not able to be had, then you're going to refund them for $5 or something like that. So and then on the virtual race side, this whole new creation, think creatively. There's a number of interesting ideas that are out there that we've seen. There's some really fun scavenger hunts. So every day you go and you look for a new thing, and then you take a picture of that thing and you post it onto Instagram. So you look for a robin or something like that, and all that gets posted to the race's Instagram or Facebook account. There's increasingly, we're seeing a lot of distance challenges or training programs, or just fitness types of challenges. And these might take place over a period of time. And we're actually right in the middle of releasing a bunch of new software to help with that. So we actually released it yesterday. There's a blog post up with some of the initial capabilities. The screenshot on the right is going to be what it looks like in about a week's time or so. Part of this is there now, part is not there. But basically what you're going to be able to do is set up a challenge. So my example that I set up, I went to Bucknell. So we're going to set up a little fundraiser for running to Bucknell and go after all the cross country and track alumni at Bucknell to basically say that they're going to run the 200 miles to go back to Bucknell by August 24th. And they'll be able to log their mileage on a daily basis and make comments and things like that. And you'll be able to see how far you've gone, for your, for the goal that you're after, what percentage you've completed, what position you're in. And then we're working on a interactive Google map. So you'll be able to see where you are on the map from beginning to end, if it's a set course like the race across Tennessee is. This will be really interesting because you'll also be able to kind of have a page where you're tracking your friends. So if Johanna and I were both running across Tennessee, I'd be able to have a little page where I'd save Johanna and my position, and I'd be able to see that Johanna was ahead of me, and it would motivate me to move ahead and things like that. The other thing we actually are going to be releasing today is a link here. So if it's a fundraising type of a challenge, there'll be a link here to Bob's fundraising page. So very easily, if somebody's going in, a friend of mine is going in and looking to see how far across Tennessee I've made it, they'll be able to click this link and make a donation to whatever the nonprofit is behind the challenge. Be creative on this. Do something that stands out, but also do something that appeals to your community. So the Scott Coffee virtual race challenge is being very much tuned to the town of Moorestown. The shirt is being designed that the shirt is kind of a memorial to this time that we're going through. So it's got a picture of two runners, and it has 6 feet apart tape measure between the two of them and things like that. So we're trying to turn it into something that is memorable for people to remember this type of time. The other thing that is good to do is to trying to appeal to the normal endurance community is try to make it feel as real as possible. Try to you leverage things like Facebook Live, leverage things like our RaceJoy product, so that people can actually run the Scott Coffee course, and they can receive cheers along the way and things like that. We built a number of pieces of technology. We've got this virtual pre-race bib technology now, so you can customize your own bib that that people can go out and take their selfies with and post them on your Facebook page and things like that. And then result posting. So we've made it really easy. So if you run the course with RaceJoy, it'll automatically post for you now. And you know, like I was showing on the challenge there, you can enter in your times, or you can enter in your distance, or any combination of that across a number of days. But in the case of Scott Coffee, people will just be able to go to that page, post their virtual results, and share with others. The other thing is, don't forget your timer. So usually you might think of, oh geez, I'm only going to hire my timer to bring their mats and to give official start and end times and things like that. Turns out that timers are the true professionals of our endurance community. So timers are the people that are doing this, you know, 50 times a year. So they understand how to do this. And what a lot of timers are doing right now is they're coming up with an offering that is meant to help you in a virtual type of a situation. So a lot of timers will help you set up your race website and your URL and your cover page, and help you with your emails, and they'll help you with, you know, figuring out how to get shirts and how to ship the shirts and the medals and things like that. Certified timers are also the only way that you can get access, that your race can get access to RaceJoy. RaceJoy requires some technology knowledge to be able to set up the map and the route and the mile markers and all that kind of stuff. So so engage with your timer to provide RaceJoy to your participants as well. And what we're starting to see is some early adoption, or kind of early experimentation, if you will, early prototypes of real races coming back. So this past weekend, there were 3 different timers that we're partners with that actually put on a little prototype races around their neighborhoods. And they use something called scoring software. And we've modified our scoring software, Race Director and Race Day Scoring, to be able to have this staggered start. In fact, Chris McDonald had a staggered start that anybody could kind of come up, self-serve their own bib, and run over a 29-hour period of time. So he just left his mats out there. He didn't have to like babysit or anything. Everything was basically touchless. He had set it all up, and then people self-served their own bib. They put their bib on, they ran, they crossed the starting line and got their time recorded, and they crossed the finish line, got their time recorded. That result got posted automatically to RunSignup. It sent out text messages to whoever was following them, and all that happened kind of without real human intervention. So there are ways to start to move towards having real races, and so you should contact your timer and figure out how to kind of bridge that virtual to real world for your case. Here's a picture of Crisp on the right hand side, and that's his driveway filled with all sorts of vehicles and equipment and so forth. Maximizing your revenue. So the number one recommendation I have for you is to use the referral rewards program. Basically, what you can do is you can turn this on really easily right at the end of the wizard. And the typical setting is you say, if you bring 5 of your friends, we're going to give you $20 or maybe even your whole registration fee back. What's really interesting is that the use of this is just skyrocketing. So last year in 2019, you see that 7% of people who signed up for races that had this turned on were from referrals. It's now 18%. And this is being caused because everybody's going online. These virtual events, in spite of being people separate and apart, they're actually much more social. So people are looking for things to do, even if it is virtual. And could you imagine setting up a race and then having an 18% of your participants come from referrals? And it's cheap to do. The amount of registrations that come for every refund, as a big circle on the right says, is really amazing. The cost per acquisition is typically $2 to $1. The return on investment is like 1,000 to 2,000%. It's crazy returns on this. So turn it on. If you're really ambitious, turn on swag rewards, and make sure that you really emphasize this and you put it up on your cover page, you send people emails, you really follow through on this to really get the maximum amount of this. The races that do this successfully, the most successfully, they're as high as 30 to 35% referrals, registrations coming from referrals. Here's another thought, is adjust your fees. Turns out that RunSignup has by far kind of the lowest processing fees around in the industry. And so the reality is that there is room to move the processing fee up. And you can actually take whatever that difference is. So if you charge $5 processing fee instead of $3, you can keep that extra $2. And you typically don't lose anybody. I have a little example down here at the bottom that says that not many people change, but it really is true. We see a number of our kind of more advanced races. They'll actually utilize this as a pot of marketing money that they'll then spend on Facebook ads and so forth to try to promote their race and actually gain the number of registrations. Embrace sponsors. There are sponsors still out there, but you're going to have to think kind of creatively. Work with a local restaurant for takeout gift certificates. Be sensitive to like what's actually kind of going on in your community, and try to figure out ways to have in-kind type of sponsorships. So where somebody last year might have given you $1,000, this year it needs to be more applied. You have to work a little bit harder to get to them. I know we're doing that right now. We're experiencing that right now with the Scott Coffee race, and we are having some success still. So keep at it on the sponsor side. The other idea to throw out is multi-race registration. So maybe you create a bundle of a virtual race now and the physical race in 2021. Maybe your race had to cancel. So for this year, it's in the summer, you're just not confident it's going to go on. Put together a bundle package. So it's $25 to sign up for the virtual race this summer, or you can sign up for the virtual race this summer and the race next year for the low price of $40 or something like that. What it does is it allows you to kind of expand the amount of revenue that you're able to take in now, and set yourself up for more success in the future. And if you bundle that stuff with the referral rewards, it gives you the early advocates for people that are trying to convince you to fill your 2021 race as well. Nonprofits. So we've actually seen a lot of free virtual events, and some of them have been super successful. And these by large are coming from nonprofits. And so they're utilizing the free event to really drive donations. So here's an example, Flippin 5K. Last year, they had 310 people come to their race. And this year, they went virtual. And the Flippin 5K was put on by a gymnastics club. It got picked up by a couple of Olympic athletes, went kind of viral on Instagram, and they had over 6,000 people sign up for the free event. So 310 people last year, over 6,000 this year. And 1,600 of those actually posted their 5K results. And after they ran their 5K, then they did some flips and they put that video and those pictures onto Instagram and stuff. They actually made more money this year than they did last year. And they actually didn't do that good of a job of figuring out how to put up their donation forms and stuff. But they really reduced their cost considerably. So they didn't give out a medal, they didn't get out a t-shirt or anything like that. And so it was all kind of dropped to the bottom line in terms of the amount of donations that they were able to take in. Facebook fundraising, we've been talking about this for almost a year now. But if you set up a fundraising type of event and say I'm a fundraiser and I'm trying to raise money for American Cancer Society, I can very easily hook that to Facebook now. And so my friends can either donate to me on Facebook or on GiveSignup or RunSignup. If they donate to me on Facebook, it's really easy to kind of make that, more social and everything. And Facebook fundraising is actually 100% free. So Facebook, at least at this point in time, is not charging any processing fees on that amount of money coming in. And the numbers that we've seen from this are really outstanding. So you should really think, if you've got one of these challenges or a virtual run or a free virtual event or something like that, to pair it with fundraising, especially if you've got a strong community of passionate people behind your nonprofit. Nonprofit ticket events. So, GiveSignup came out with this really nice, slick nonprofit platform, and you don't have to use it. You don't have to think of everything as just like a run or something like that. Come up with different ideas. And one of the nice things about the ticket platform is it's extraordinarily lightweight. And it also has a bunch of really nice features of the integration with donations. And so you can give discounts to tickets if there's a donation and things like that. And one of the things that's happened in the nonprofit community is that Eventbrite has kind of been the go-to place where a lot of nonprofits put on their ticket events. Eventbrite adopted a policy where they're actually holding back all of the funds until an event actually happens. We do have reserve requirements that are currently 10%, but it's receiving 90% of your funds, as the transactions happen, can really help your nonprofit with cash flow as an alternative to Eventbrite. So let's move on to the save money portion here. So kind of one of the big things about RunSignup is our strategy, where we basically make everything on our site free. So you don't have a subscription fee that you're having to pay for or anything like that. And you have all these opportunities to kind of trade out other technology that you may be using and spending money on today for stuff that's free. So websites is kind of the place to start. So, if you have a website, you're probably paying money for it. If you have a website, you're probably frustrated because you can't change the content very easily on your own. If you have a website, it probably doesn't integrate real tightly with all the dynamic data that you have, like, all of your events that you're putting on, your fundraising pages, things like that. We offer this very nice free website capability. You bring your own domain, it's totally free. We provide free SSL, data security, all the servers get upgraded every month. You're compliant with PCI, you're compliant with CCPA, you're compliant with COPA and child privacy laws and things like that. It's pretty slick. And the number of websites that are converting over to us, we've got over 1,000 websites are now being hosted by us, and you can put together some really beautiful pages. If you go to scottcoffeerun.com, you can see my little example, and it's slick. It's the one way over on the right in this diagram. So second one is email marketing. I know I've had this in the past where I used to use Constant Contact for the running store, and I used to use Constant Contact for the Scott Coffee Run. And it's only a few $100, and depending on how much you use it, MailChimp might be, $50 a month or a couple $100 a month. But they are nice, and they have some advantages over us. But we are free. We also integrate with all of your data. So if you have people signing up for your race or your event or fundraising or donations and things like that, all that data can be integrated and customized into the emails that are going out to your participants. We provide a fair amount of metrics, not as many, in a lot of ways, not as many as MailChimp and Constant Contact, but in some ways actually better, because our emails get automatically tied into our analytics engine. And so when you send out an email, you know exactly how many people have signed up for your race because of that email, because they clicked on that sign up button in the email. And that information is tracked. So you know what email triggered which people that signed up for your race this year. We're also not Salesforce either. So we have nowhere near the features of Salesforce, but we do have a complete participant search and profile capability where you're able to go in and see, how many people, an individual, and see, how many events they've attended, how much money they've donated to you, and things like that. And you have this ability to integrate with this analytics engine that we bundle. So this example here shows that you can create a custom list of people to go and market to that came from last year's race from different target sources. So because we're tracking everything and because it's all integrated, it makes it really easy and really simple, and it's free. Free photos. What's coming is a major kind of upgrade in about 2 months' time. And what's nice about this upgrade that's coming is it's going to be tuned for virtual races, and it's going to be tuned to allow individuals to create their own albums and for individuals to upload their own photos. So it's going to become even more powerful for you in the future. So if you have some sort of vendor that you use to take photos, continue to use that vendor, but have them store the photos in the free platform on RunSignup. And over time, you're going to be able to see us give you capabilities to do increasingly interesting things from a marketing and customer engagement perspective. We also offer free race day texts. And we've transitioned this technology over into a text bot for virtual results. So on the day like June 6th that Scott Coffee race is supposed to happen, everybody that signed up for the virtual run who has accepted text messages is going to get a text message saying, "Hey, welcome. Thanks for signing up for the Scott Coffee Run. When you're finished, upload your time. Just text it in to our bot." So that's pretty cool. And then one of the things that we're coming out with this summer, that it's kind of the start line is going to be a real problem for races that are coming back, because that's going to be your key bottleneck. So you can only have so many people running through your starting line per minute or per hour. And so what's going to happen is that races are going to set up their corrals, and we've got this really nice corral update coming. So you might limit your corral size to 10 people or something, or you might limit it to 100 people every 15 minutes. So I can sit in my car and I can wait to get a text alert to say, hey, Bob, your corral is next up. So make sure you're at the starting line at 9:45. So it'll just help you with your race day flow, especially during this time of social distancing. So here's an idea for you. A lot of races will pay their timer, right? And they'll pay them, $3 a participant or something like that. You could transition some of that $3 or even all of it and put that into the processing fee, and basically utilize the processing fee as a mechanism to pay your timer. And what it does is it frees up cash flow for you. It gives your timer a mechanism to provide a better set of services, and it just allocates the money kind of up front. It kind of leverages the idea that I talked about earlier about the fact that RunSignup has left a lot of room for you in terms of the processing fee schedule that we have. Understand your ROI. So an increasing number of people, especially in this virtual race area, especially the top virtual races, are spending money on Facebook ads and so forth. And Race Insights is the mechanism that helps you track that better. So here's an example from an organization who happens to use MailChimp, speaking of MailChimp, and it allows them to see like where their people are coming from. Like, okay, this Instagram had 37 people. This Facebook post had 186 people. Email audience one worked a lot better than 3, which worked better than 4 and 2. So you're able to get the insights into how your different promotional activities are actually paying off. So you're avoiding wasting money. You're saving money. Encourage deferrals too. So your race is postponed, it's bad, or your race is canceled this year, it's bad. But give your runners options. Allow them to do the virtual race. So convert it to a virtual race. When that's done, very few people, a lot of people will just kind of transfer over to the virtual race. Give them a deferral option, not just a deferral option into 2021. Give them a window of, say, 3 years. So they don't know what they're doing in 2021. They might be on vacation for your race or something like that. But sometime in the next 3 years, they're bound to sign up for your race again. I mean, they like you and everything. So give them that window of opportunity. We've made that really easy to do for you, and it will make sure that you don't have kind of a leak in your boat with money flowing out the door. So that's a wrap on it. Hope that sparks some ideas for some of you. Johanna, are there any questions?
A couple of quick questions that have come through. If you guys still have questions, there's a questions bar on your GoToWebinar module. You can type them in there, and we will try to answer them. One, going back to the new challenge technology, will it still be possible to do finisher certificates if they have a challenge type event?
Yeah, actually, finisher certificates are still there. They still work. If it's a time finisher certificate, if it's a time type of an event, you'll see the time on there. If it's a distance or a push-ups event, right now it doesn't show the activity quantity, but that is going to get fixed within the next week. So your finisher certificate for your push-up challenge will show that you have 1,000 push-ups done. We're also going to add in that challenge thing the idea of milestones. So every 100 push-ups that you do, you'll get another badge or maybe a little notification or maybe some confetti flying on your page. And then once you reach 1,000, you'll have the finisher certificate, and that will show 1,000 push-ups completed.
With processing fees, how is a race able to change their processing fee?
So work with our info ad team, because I don't want to get into the details of explaining how to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can tell you the pathway to get there is financial pricing and processing fees. We'll also have some links to more information about that in our follow-up. And then if you have questions about it, you can follow up with info ad as well. Do you have an option for a principal bib?
What's a principal bib?
Meaning the pre-race bibs.
Oh, a pre-race bib? Yeah, so you can set up pre-race bibs today. And there's a few new features that are coming over the next week or two to kind of make it'll send those pre-race bibs out a little bit smoother than they're sent out today, but they exist today. And you can add your own background, you can add your own fields and all that kind of stuff.
For virtual races, do you generally recommend a one-day event or a 2-week or a 1 month? What is kind of the general range that you see for a virtual race option?
We're seeing a pretty wide range of things. If you're kind of encouraging people to be on a course, so what we're doing for Scott Coffee is we're basically saying submit your results between June 6th and June 14th. So we're giving them a week. We're not just making it a 1 day, because one of our concerns if we make it a 1 day is that we're kind of concerned that 100 or 200 people might show up at 8:30 on Saturday, and then you might have social distancing issues at that point in time. The Ann Arbor Marathon was one of the early adopters of this. I think their race was scheduled either on the 14th or the 21st of March. They made a really quick switch, went and enabled Race Joy, and left the course open for 2 weeks. But basically, the idea is that you don't want to leave it open for too long, because then people kind of get distracted. But you don't want to make it too short of an opening, or else you might have social distancing issues there.
Great. I think that's most of the questions. There's a couple that are specific to your organization or looking for a specific resource. If you asked one that we didn't get answered, we'll also follow up with you individually later today. We'll send out all of this with a bunch of different resources shortly. Thank you guys for joining.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support too. We appreciate it.